people which sometimes struggle to be motivated, teaching them the skills from the beginning about how to clean the room according to the standards. And because I'm from an old school of hoteliers, the best way to do it is to be part of the team and do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So the first, I would say, month and a half, I was actually cleaning the rooms. I think I can proudly say I am fantastic when it comes to cleaning the guest bathrooms, the place which nobody wants to clean.
Hello. As we strive to get you quality on every show, today is a big takeout. Joining me today is esteemed Cluster Director of Human Resources at Marriott International. This is Petra Sol. With her experience, she's going to share her story and educate us on what it is to be a leader in a fast-paced country like United Arab Emirates. Mrs. Sol, welcome to the show. I must confess, I am grateful that you take out your time to join me today. This is my biggest podcast yet, so I'm most grateful that you allow us to come and disturb your office for like 2 hours now. The time you gave us, I am most grateful. This is like, I must tell you guys, this is a HR director in a big complex, very big complex, and she's giving me her time since that we've been here disturbing her. And if she was to charge, I cannot afford. So I am most grateful to her that she has given us her time. Welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself to us for my audience?
Absolutely. And first, a big thank you, because I feel very privileged to be one of the hosts of your show. With all the setup, I was saying to you and to your team behind the scenes, it is almost very intimidating. And I'm actually feeling nervous.
That makes you fun.
But I'll be very happy to introduce myself. So as you said, my name is Petra Sol. I am the Cluster Director of Human Resources of Mina Siahi Complex and also the Le Méridien Complex on the other side of the city. So we are a very interesting cluster of 8 hotels, and we're ranging from anything from a 5-star luxury hotel, which is the W, all the way to the select service of Aloft and Element Almina, which is on the other side of the city, and Aloft and Element Airport. Yeah. So obviously with 8 hotels and almost 3,000 employees in a peak season, we definitely are running a very busy human resources operations. Of course, I cannot do it by myself. I have my amazing team on both sides of the city that supports me. And yes, I have been now in UAE for 10 years. But with Marriott, as a company with Marriott International, I have just completed 17 years of service. Mm-hmm. So I know it sounds scary, but I can tell you that time flies when you're having fun. Yes. I'm sure we're going to discuss it a little bit, during the next questions. But I have not been in HR. I actually moved to human resources approximately, I would say 13 years ago. I started in England after graduating from the Oxford Brookes University, where I've done hospitality and tourism course. So I always knew I want to be in hotels, but back then I wanted to be a general manager. So that was the bigger vision. I wanted to be a GM of the hotel. So back then the easiest route was through the operations. So that's why I joined the Voyage Graduate Program, which is back then it was for 2 years, accelerating kind of a program to build your leadership skills. And I have done it in multiple hotels around London cluster. And yes, I've been in food and beverage. And then because I wanted to be the general manager, I had exposure to front office. I had exposure to conference and banqueting. And I have the amazing opportunity that back then my mentor, Alex Gilmore, Director of Operations of Marriott Maydavale, has suggested that I need to take over a new challenge in operations, and that was housekeeping. And I didn't know anything about housekeeping, and it was quite intimidating because I always used to work in a guest-focused areas. Food and beverage was my passion. I loved working in restaurants, serving wine, talking about food, front office. Again, we have a really great one-on-one interaction with the guest, and suddenly you put me in a housekeeping. In London, the housekeeping is mainly driven through agency. So you have a very small number of people who are your own employees, and the rest is agency workers, which is obviously a bit challenging because sometimes they don't come to work. Sometimes, it's difficult to set up your regular crew of people where you invest into the training and, making sure that they understand the standards of how to clean a room.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a big challenge because I had no idea about housekeeping works. And I think it was the best school of my life because I have suddenly understood how it is to work in the back of house, not to see the shiny, beautiful side of the hotel when, you deal with the guests and talk about wine and serving amazing food. But, how is it to motivate a group of people which sometimes struggle to be motivated, teaching them the skills from the beginning about how to clean the room according to the standards. And because I'm from an old school of hoteliers, the best way to do it is to be part of the team and do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So the first, I would say, month and a half, I was actually cleaning the rooms. I think I can proudly say I am fantastic when it comes to cleaning the guest bathrooms, the place which nobody wants to clean. I'm very good when it comes to cleaning the room. The only thing until today I cannot make is the proper Marriott bed. Honestly, could never do it. I always have to ask somebody to help me. But it was a great experience because then I really understood what does it mean, to clean the hotel according to the standards. And then, things just snowballed. And I was actually in housekeeping for 2 years, loved it. And then when the decision came, what would be my next operational department? And the discussion back then, as I said with my mentor, was, okay, now maybe you need to take front office role. I actually said that I don't miss the guests anymore. And I really enjoy working in back of house. And I feel that the love and the closest thing I feel is to actually work with employees.
To let people know, as a cluster director now, that's like a very big position. To let people know where you started. Where is the lowest position you've worked in a hotel?
So the lowest position I work in a hotel, that would be, when I was working as a part-time, I was working as a waitress. I've done my housekeeping job duties back then as a student. But when I joined Marriott, I started as a voyager, which is like a supervisory role. So like a food and beverage supervisory traineeship role. And from that, I kind of built the next steps of my career. Although when I was managing housekeeping, I was already on a housekeeping manager. And when I decided to take the career step back because I want to move to human resources, I have to step back to like a HR executive position to actually learn the moves and grooves of human resources in a hotel.
And it's been a roller coaster since.
It's been a roller coaster since, yes.
Enjoyable one or?
I think if I wouldn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be here. I definitely don't think so. I would be crazy enough to take and eventually 4 years ago to accept the challenge of this cluster if I didn't love what I do. I know it sometimes sounds cliche, but I think that I'm here today because I genuinely love my job. I still, enjoy the perks of human resources. Yeah. There are really good days and fun days. There are also the tough days when as a HR, you are the ambassador of sometimes bad news. You have to sometimes make really tough decisions, which impacts people's jobs. Sometimes you are the person that they see when you're welcoming them when they're starting the job. Sometimes you're the person who also ends the day, of working for Marriott. So, it comes with up and downs. Working in HR, lots of people think that we are the department which just spreads happiness and we have an easy life, just drinking tea and coffee and giving hugs and high fives. But it's actually over the years, I think human resources have become really strategic and business partnership role. We hold a huge responsibility of the overall payroll and benefits of the hotel, employability, bringing people, training people. So definitely the pressure on HR over the years has really increased. And I think definitely since post-COVID recovery, that has been definitely completely a new ball game in this city.
Yeah, and your intro, I'm sure your intro will give a lot of people hope because we are going to learn a lot today. So can you tell us how you come about, what makes you to go into HR? How did you build your interest to pursue
my career HR? I think that for me, it was that I love working with people. I get energy out of people. People always say I'm very hyper. I have got high level of energy, but I get that from people. You close me somewhere for 1 week where I don't see anybody and I'll be like a flower dying slowly. So I like to be in a bus. I love hospitality. Again, I think that's one of the things we're going to touch on is, bringing and finding new hoteliers. It's getting harder and harder because I would say people losing a little bit passion for hospitality business, or they're using it only as a transient stop before they go and move to the greater things. And the reason is, yes, we work long hours. It's a hard work. It's 24/7 business. It's weekends. It's holidays. It's like the hotels don't close. And I always say you need to be a special breed of person And even as a HR, people think it's 9 to 5, especially working in UAE, where we're managing housing, where we look after the medical insurance, the transportation. Our job doesn't stop at 7 o'clock when we go home. Yesterday I was dealing with an issue at work till 9 o'clock in the evening. So you have a weekends and your phone rings, and you need to help out and step in. And I think that's what I love about HR. I truly feel that here in Dubai and in UAE, you genuinely can really make a difference to people's life, which sometimes I didn't get that satisfaction when I was still back in England.
So how has your growth been, the hurdles and the challenges, how you became a HR cluster director?
Well, as I said, I think the beauty of being in a hotel is that I have started in operations, but because, I wanted always more. I wanted to be a general manager. Obviously, I changed the plans, become a director of HR. I don't want to be a general manager anymore. But I think for me, I loved what I did, no matter what. If I was in food and beverage, I was in housekeeping, I always wanted to learn more. And I wanted to get involved in other projects. And when I decided to move to HR, it was just this whole new learning, policies, procedures. In England, it would be obviously the employment law. And I loved it. I love to learn new things. I like to feel that, every day I'm coming home a little bit smarter. And I think that what kind of helps you to push you to the next step. So whatever is a hurdle, whatever is a setback, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. And now it's up to you if you're going to take it and you're going to say, okay, no, I'm going to overcome the challenge. And even if it means that you need to stay at work a little bit longer, even if it means that sometimes, when you're at home, you open internet or you open our policy site and you're going to learn something new in your own free time, it just pushes you towards becoming better, stronger and overcome these problems. Yeah. And I think that one thing which people underestimate is the power of people around you. We in a hospitality industry, but I think in any industry in general, you have a lot of people who have the knowledge.
Yes.
The problem is people are shy to ask. So, if you get stuck, just ask the people who may have gone through similar problem and challenge and ask them to advise you.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's great to do things on your own. Find your mentor, find somebody to go to. And I always say to people when our associates come and ask me, I want to cross train, I want you to do this and that. And I said, go and try it, but speak to your colleagues first. Sometimes people are motivated by the paycheck, and I know money is very important. But paycheck will bring you only that much happiness, but the paycheck is linked to long working hours.
Yeah.
It's with the team around you. If you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to enjoy the paycheck either.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just always speak with the people. You want to go and try some different jobs. Speak with people who are working in that team. Speak with people who do that job to actually see if this is something what you enjoy doing and what will continue to drive your passion to overcome any problems.
Yeah. So you're managing 8 hotels.
Yes.
5-star and luxury.
Yes.
How do you manage the diversity in the hotel?
Well, that definitely doesn't go, it comes with challenges. Definitely comes with challenges. As I said, I love people. I love to travel, and I always say that the beauty of maybe working here, particularly in Dubai or in UAE, is sometimes you don't have to travel because the travel comes to you because you're working with people from all these different nationalities and diverse backgrounds. So again, you're learning every day from people. I would have never dreamed to have such a diverse team working for me just in human resources. I've got so many different nationalities, which comes with different personalities. So I think the diversity, the way how I learn to manage it is just sometimes when people come, just listen to them.
Okay.
Because, I said it's very easy to jump into conclusions. It's very easy to, just put people into individual boxes and thinking, okay, just because you're coming from this country, this is your behavioral trait. And that's wrong. And I think the best way in terms of what helps me is just to have a general chat with people, listen to them, understand a little bit where they're coming from, because even people from the same city might be obviously very two different people.
Yeah.
So, I think that helps me how to connect with people and how to manage diversity.
Yeah.
Of course, we're managing housing, managing diversity sometimes, when we have good people and we're in the same accommodation can be challenging, but it's again about how we educate people. And if there is a problem, again, we can take drastic decisions, but we prefer to try to incorporate, find out what was the problem and try to work side by side the associates and maybe by the individual managers in terms of how to overcome this.
So there are so many, everybody can cross training So
Yes.
everybody can switch from where they are if they have interest.
Yes.
Is there any like exam required or some certificate required?
So we do have a little bit of a criteria. We always ask associates, our employees, to at least finish minimum 1 year in their current job roles. The
Okay.
reason for it is if you have somebody who's maybe coming and they never work in a hotel environment, in general, it takes about 6 months to understand your role, especially if you've never worked in the hotel business. Maybe you never worked in the restaurant, you've never been working in housekeeping, you've never been working in any of our support divisions, maybe be getting freshers from university. And then based on that, when they obviously have a good performance and you know who your shining talents are, you hear about them, you see these people. So obviously when they want to say, we've got somebody who's really talented and they want to cross-train in front office, then we will help to mediate it. Sometimes there are departments which might be a bit more demanding, like people want to go in cross-training in HR.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a bit tricky because we're dealing with lots of confidential stuff. So we have, my team came up with a great idea that we introduced this HR one-on-one training when the people who were really interested, they have to do a little pre-exam just to showcase that they actually mean it seriously. Because again, lots of things goes into that training. That goes times and energy of my team. So we then ended up with a small group and class of people. And, we have done several days training. They had to do homework. There was a little a mini exam at the end, just to give them the feeling to understand what HR is about. And I think it gave them a good idea. I think, by the way, half of them never wants to work in HR. But some of them obviously saw it and they said, okay, and we also know now, okay, we have a talent over there. So, in case I have a vacancy in my team, maybe I know where to poach from, because I love to balance my team, people from operations, stepping for the first time into HR, and then maybe people who are coming with a bit more administrative or all the human resources background. I like to mix it up because again, me maybe understanding operational teams a little bit better because I have gone through the operational part, of the hotel myself.
So I see that you have a team of professionals. Since I've been working here, the HR team is the best I've seen. It's the best I've seen. So I want to ask people transitioning to HR, do you have a specific course they should go to become this professional, or you talk to them on a daily basis? How did you get to train your team?
So obviously now I'm very lucky because, I have my amazing team under me. So if they're hiring, maybe now recently we have a, new lady joining, Candice, as a HR executive. So Ruman was doing the round of interviews and I just came as the last interviewer. But obviously if I would be maybe looking for somebody like my direct number 2, my assistant director of HR, I don't necessarily go after the qualification. So for me, it's not the determining, kind of a point to have a master's in HR or to have a CIPD or anything like this. I think for me, it always obviously works better if you have a hotel experience. It works better for me if you have hotel experience, maybe in UAE, because again, it makes it a little bit easier with the transition, in terms of understanding how the law works in here. But, I am not dwelling on the degrees. And, when people ask me, do I need to have a master degree to do this and that? And I said, not when you're starting your career.
Okay.
You can always finish your degrees once you actually really know what you want to do. Look, it's, I've done my degree, I've done my bachelor's in hospital and tourism, but it took me several years of working in hotels to actually find the passion. I was always passionate, but find my passion, which is HR.
Yeah.
I don't have formal HR qualifications. I've done obviously HR courses as part of my university studies. But for me, the best school in terms of maybe to be the person as a HR I am today, it's actually to do the hands-on learning, which means being in the hotel, working side by side, people see the challenges that they've gone through and now trying to help it and resolve it, these challenges.
So it was your passion that made you become this amazing leader, or when you go home, you think, what should I do? How should I handle my team when I go to work?
You know what? Not really. I hope that you would have to maybe ask my team, I think you might have to ask my team, but I believe that I have a very open and honest relationship with my team. I think that I don't see I don't see this whole level. I'm director, you're a supervisor. I don't really see that. I don't like it. And I think that that's the leadership I'm trying to drive with my team. I think my team is feeling very comfortable to just come and talk to me about anything and everything. And it doesn't matter, what role they're holding in the team. And I think for me, it's just the level of trust between me and the team. I know that if there would be a problem, they would come and talk to me about it so we can prevent it from happening. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just more, my style of leadership and how I deal with the team. And I hope that they feel the same way is just to have this very transparent, open relationship. And I always say to the guys, I want you to make decisions. Mm-hmm. I want you to make mistakes. I always say that 99.9% mistakes are fixable. Okay?
Yeah.
And, at least if you do the mistake, you will not do it again. That's the best way to learn. Sometimes I can tell you not to do this and I can tell you 55 times. And, unless sometimes, you touch it and it burns your finger, you will know. So I believe that it's just, when I come home, I don't think about, okay, what do I need to do with my team and punish them? I think when I go home, I really want to take a rest. I just want to de-stress.
When I spoke, because I spoke to a couple of people before coming to you, and everybody I spoke to, I want to go meet a HR director for a podcast. And if she agrees, it's going to be my biggest one yet. The first person I spoke to was Sam.
Okay.
Yeah. Sam said she's not going to say no. I don't, because I tried. I called him. I'm going to speak to Mrs. Petra. He's like, go ahead. I know her since I've been working. Since she started working here, she's such an amazing person. Go speak to her. I promise you, Victor, go speak to her. And I also speak to a couple of people in your office. They said, okay, you can come and ask her. I know she would not, even if she's going to say no, she's not going to bite you. Just come and ask. Yeah, come and ask her. So I want to ask you, what quality or certificate do you prioritize when hiring somebody overseas?
To be very honest, again, I don't prioritize any certificates. Sometimes the only time when we require to have an educational certificate, it's when we're hiring for a higher manager or director's role. So if I would be hiring for somebody for my fellow executive leadership team, so I'll give you an example. Right now, I am hiring for an executive leadership leader for commercial on the other side of the city, and obviously for that one, to make sure that we can process the relevant visa. And we also know that the person has got the experience. We normally require some element of an educational certificate. But again, I know plenty of leaders and some of my colleagues, they don't have educational certificates. What we then work on a basis is their experience and experience certificates, when they step into these executive leadership roles.
Yeah.
So I always say to people when they ask me, okay, same question what you did, to say in hotel business, you actually don't need a degree. You need common sense.
You can become a manager with no university degree.
Absolutely. What you need is a common sense and passion for the job. I think that we are one of the very few industries left in this world where you don't need a degree. You just need a passion for the business. You just need to learn how to be better than anybody else. I have got plenty of colleagues, like one of my very dear friend, where we work together in multiple hotel openings in Abu Dhabi. He's a general manager and he started as a steward, and we always share his story because it's this beautiful Marriott story, when he obviously started and, as he said, he barely spoke any English and today he's a general manager. Yes, it might be a bit daunting, as he always says, it took him like 20 plus years to become the GM, but he started very, very young, with no experience. But you just, push yourself, you want to be a steward, no, you want to be the best steward.
Yes.
And then he went and moved to food and beverage. And that's what we kind of all do, and I think that's what, when we're looking and when we're hiring, I always hire for passion and personality because the skills we can develop. For the skills, we are not brain surgeons. We deal with, hospitality is about providing great service and serving great food and providing clean rooms. And it's a relationship industry, If you have a great personality and you combine it with the service that we teach you how to provide, you are ready for a success. And with no degree, you can be replacing me in a few years' time, or you can become the general manager of this complex in a few years' time.
Yeah. Okay. Seeing that you are from Czech Republic, how do you find living and working in UAE?
So I left Czech Republic when I was 19. So I have been, I'm not going to say my age, but I have been living more years out of Czech Republic, than I actually ever lived there, So whoever is good in mathematics, they know I'm over 40 years old. So I always knew that I want to stay in Czech. Since I was a little kid, my mom always said, that I'm going to be the one who's going to run away from home kind of in a way, because I will never stay in a small city, because the small city where I'm from was too small for me.
Okay.
You know, my big dream, I was like, I'm 19, I'm going to go to America. And my parents said, no. You're going to take a bus and you're going to go to England. So I took a bus and I went to England, okay? And I stayed in England for 12 years. And I think that has been a great stepping stone for me to suddenly work with more diversity, you know, meet people from around the world, you know, learn the language properly. And, you know, when I was living in UK and before I've done my studies and during my studies, was the best way to earn your money to pay your rent is to work in a hotels, you know. So I work as a waitress, you know, finish at uni and finish at 3:00 in the morning in the bar, you know, and I love the industry. I just love the diversity of it. So moving to UAE from England, from London, actually hasn't been such a great shock. And again, I'm going to use, you know, our Marriott as an example. For me, moving within Marriott as a company from London and moving to Abu Dhabi, where was my first hotel when I was doing pre-opening of one of the hotels there, which was my first pre-opening. I think 50% of it was easier because I was feeling that, yes, I am moving country. I'm going to have a new colleagues, but I know everything about the company. You know, I know the systems, I know the Marriott policies, I know the Marriott procedures. So somehow in my head, I didn't feel that stress and pressure, because then I said, okay, I think I'm quite smart. So all I have to learn is the local laws. You know, I need to understand what is housing and visa processes are all about. And off it goes. And 10 years flew by. So I think for me, one day it's going to be much harder to maybe leave UAE and go back maybe to Czech Republic or to England or anywhere in Europe. I think it's going to be difficult because I love how vibrant it is. I always say that whatever you have experienced in UK and the job I was doing in UK, I can do part-time now, because here it's just so much busier and crazy and diverse. And I love it. Like, I know that right now working anywhere between Czech or UK, I would be bored.
So the rumor, because I heard some rumor that you grew up in Africa, was that true?
No, that must be a rumor. I like that rumor. I wish that rumor was true. You know, you know, I unfortunately didn't grow up. I have grown up in a very small, boring city in Czech Republic.
Somebody told me that you grew up in South Africa.
I went to South Africa a few times, and I always say, okay, this is not a cliche, but I always say, from my travels and everything, you know, I think South Africa is one of the closest places. I think it's just like a heaven on earth. I love it. I just love that country. I love nature. I love nature in general. You know, I love the wine. I love the food. You know, I think the people were nice. You know, I love South Africa. So for us, you know, we actually need to go back because, you know, we stored some wine there. But, you know, so I think I'm just planning. I think South Africa is one of the places I like to go back every few years.
You went there for a walk?
So no, we went there for vacation. You know, it was like first vacation with my husband, and then I surprised my dad and I took him there for his 17th birthday for a safari, because my dad actually always wanted to run away to Africa, but the communism stopped him.
So there's safari in South Africa?
Yeah. So we went there with my dad. Yeah. We went to the whole Kruger Park and other parks around as well.
Have you been to Kenya?
No, not yet. That's on my list to go.
What other African country have you been to?
So South Africa has been the biggest one. We went to Swaziland, and then we, you know, in the North Africa, you know, but, you know, I mean, like Kenya safari. I love horse riding. So, you know, Botswana is my big dream to go horse riding.
Yeah. So being passionate about HR, what is the thing that helps you stay positive?
I think luckily I'm naturally quite a positive person, you know. I think that I'm one of those people when everybody's going down, I'm the crazy hyper lady in between trying to lift everybody's spirits up. But I think as I grow older, you know, sometimes, of course, my nature of my job, sometimes I come home quite drained. I think what makes me happy and how I'm able to balance it is to sometimes be able to switch off. I think that what helps me sometimes to get through a busy week is my hobbies. You know, as I said, I love horse riding. You know, I go and horse ride religiously every weekend, sometimes multiple times, because that's just my happy place. That's when I'm back in the nature. I have to leave all the worries behind. I need to calm myself down. And that's kind of what makes me happy, you know.
Did you say you can ride a horse?
Yes.
You can ride. Did you play polo?
I didn't play polo. We do something which is called like an endurance. So we take the endurance horses and we go for like a dune bashing and race tracking in the desert. Yes, that's what we do every weekend.
In your career, what is the thing that has helped you that beginners can learn from?
I think what helped me is I think I don't give up easily.
Okay.
And I think that for me is I always had the mindset, if that person can do it,
You can do it.
I can do it too. And maybe I can do it better. And I always give an example when I moved to, I think it was my second property. When I moved in Marriott in London, I was, I think, the only lady in, very male-dominated food and beverage environment. And they were all very experienced, quite older gentlemen. And they all look at me like, oh, what is this young kid going to tell me? And I was like, let me show you guys, and I always got put on the worst shifts and all of that stuff. And I worked my socks off to actually prove to say, like, guys, I can manage the restaurants, I can, manage payroll, I understand the budgets, So I was like, okay, I have a fair share seat on the table between you boys.
With your good energy, because you always bring good energy.
Exactly.
How would you describe a good leader? What quality do a good leader possess?
I think that as a good leader, and especially now, because I think, the leadership skills, they are not on a standstill. It's not like somebody wrote them in the smart leadership book, 20 years ago, and they still fully define successful leader of, this year. I think that you need to be able to evolve and adapt as well, because the workforce around you is changing. My associates, they're very different to associates 10 years ago from what is, who is entering our workforce now. And I think as a good leader, I would say we always underestimate to listen to people, and I know I talk a lot. So people think that I'm not a good maybe listener. Maybe my husband might say the same. But I think that just listening to people, allowing them the space to express themselves and actually remember what they say and take it to the heart. Sometimes we are very easy to generalize to say, okay, I heard the same story 55 times, but no, every case is different. Just speak with the people, listen, don't close yourself in an office, don't close yourself in the box.
Unless
do
it's
not
for
understand.
podcast.
Yeah, unless it's for a podcast, exactly. I would say just a good leader is just be there with the team, and as I said, I don't believe in these layers of leadership and all of that stuff. I think that, I always say that, you are only as successful as maybe the weakest member of your team. And I would never be able to manage 8 hotels and 3,000 employees if I don't have an amazing team under me who helps me day-to-day basis.
Yes.
People, sometimes I have an associate asking me about, like, today I have somebody who comes to how to reset his, system where he can, when he cannot access. I don't know, guys. Because I have not been resetting system request accesses for a long time, but I have my member of my team who can come to my rescue,
Yes.
I don't know every single thing about how to pull every single payroll report because I don't go and digging into the report so much. So I need my team. I need my team to assist me with these things and vice versa. When they struggle, then I am here 100% ready to go and help them out or guide them through the situation.
Okay. Can you just speak about woman empowerment or ladies who do not believe that they can become top manager or director in a company like Marriott?
Yes. Yeah. I think that in everywhere outside of maybe GCC countries, it's slowly changing. I think that still here, maybe even in UAE, it's a bit male dominated. And I think it's changing, which is good, because I think right now we're paying loads of interest in terms of making sure that the ladies are not shy to step into the leadership.
Yeah.
I think the issue here is that we don't have that many ladies who want to work in the hospitality industry. In Europe, it's the other way around. When it comes to front office, when it comes to housekeeping, it's actually female-dominated, place. Where in here, it's quite male-dominated place. I think for the ladies, I think they should not get intimidated because, again, if you're a smart cookie, and of course, I believe that all the ladies are smart cookies. We are, and this is not obviously not to say, gentlemen, don't pay attention, but I think that we have got good sixth sense. We feel energies more, maybe, we kind of have a good intuitive system, kind of as a backbone. I think that the ladies just should not get intimidated. When I moved in here to UAE, I was the only female executive leader between only male-dominated, leadership team. And that happened for a few years.
In the whole of Marriott?
No, it was not in the whole of Marriott, but in the hotels that I was managing. And, initially I thought that I have to become fight faster and fight more. And I was wrong, actually. I think the guys actually did generally enjoy having ladies around. And I always, use my previous general manager, Tolga, who was working in Minasia and then within the cluster for quite a long period of time, because I think he was one of the first few leaders who would have such a strong balance. We were always in Minasia, especially in this complex. Half of the team were male and half of the team were female. This was the first time. I'm here now for 4 years, so 6 years I have worked with other ladies as my executive leaders. For 6 years, I never had, such a strong female leadership presence. And he always say that he's smart. He said, if you want to be a successful leader, you need to balance the team.
Yes.
The guys are the risk takers. The women are the ones who are kind of a little bit more thinkers, They're trying to prevent all the risks. They're trying to, predict the risks. And he said, and that's why the balance works so well. And I always say this to ladies. I said, same thing, don't be shy if you don't have a qualifications. Just see what your passion is in the hospitality industry. Work hard, learn hard, go and study a little bit more. We have all the resources available in here, and then just push yourself harder. I think that at the moment, I don't see a woman, being a woman, that you should feel intimidated that you cannot become a general manager or leader. I think that those days are gone.
Okay, yeah. What would be your general advice to upcomers or established HR professionals? What would be your general advice?
Spend time with your associates and spend time with your people. And I know it's sometimes difficult because we are so busy with other things. But if you want to be a successful HR leader, you need to understand what your people go through. And I know that sometimes you cannot help everyone. Sometimes you have to be the tough one, right? Sometimes you want to help everyone, but you cannot. Because at the end of the day, we're still managing a big business operations. But in terms of it's how you explain it to associates, how you make them understand. And I think that's where the key is. I think that people need to understand that human resources, it's not paper pushing department. Yes, we push a lot of papers, we push a lot of papers, but there needs to be this strong human connection. I really, really hate from the bottom of my heart when people see us as the punishment department. I always give managers a little bit of a, ear mount when I say, okay, I cannot handle you as an associate. I'll take you to HR, and you will see, I'll take you to HR. And then they come to HR and say, what do you want me to show you? Come on, I'm a person. I think I'm a nice person. Yes, we can have an adult conversation, but we should not be seen as a HR as the punishment department. So, I always say that instead of being called, human resources, we should be called happy room. Happy room. Because we're just trying to balance it all. Yeah. So, you definitely need to be a good mediator. That's the one thing I always say to anybody who wants to step into HR. You need to learn how to sometimes think twice before what you say, become a very good mediator.
Yeah.
And, just be able to sometimes handle conflict and be able to handle difficult situations, because you will be the person resolving them. So, if you feel that you don't like to be put in a spotlight, or if you just feel that you really struggle to deal with conflict, again, that's a skills we can teach you to overcome. But you need to be prepared for it.
Okay, now I want to ask, as a high career woman, before getting to this stage, how did you get to manage a relationship? Was there difficult or?
It wasn't easy. I think I'm very, very lucky because my husband is a hotelier as well. We met before Marriott. Okay, I just want to say, people always think that, it's one of those romantic things when we met on a job. No, we didn't meet on the job. We met before Marriott, but he's a hotelier. And he was in finance though. So when I was in operations, it was quite difficult because, especially when I was in London in operations, I used to, we could not afford to live in London. So we were living on the outskirts of London. And when I was in food and beverage, I have to maybe start the shift at 7 o'clock, to be there for breakfast, or in the housekeeping, to open housekeeping and do the allocations. That means I was getting up at 4:20 every morning, to take multiple trains to get to London. And then because I was a career woman, I wanted to stay longer because I wanted to become the queen of everything.
Yeah.
So I would come home maybe at 8 o'clock in the evening, and I would be dead because, again, the next day I have to get up at 4:20 in the morning. And then obviously I would be working weekends. So I think it took a lot of understanding from both of our sides.
Okay.
And I think that what, I always say as advice is that when you have the time, we really make sure it's a good quality time. That when we go for holidays together, let's make up for the time when we necessarily don't see each other. But sometimes I know that working as a hotelier, it's sometimes a bit unkind, to relationships, because we spend so much time at work and we work crazy unsocial hours. But again, it comes through communication and mutual understanding.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, 19th July 2014. What is that date to you?
19th of July is 2014.
Yes.
My goodness, now you're putting me in a hot spot. I actually don't know,
Sorry.
I am like now literally in a hot seat, and my husband would be literally laughing because I'm terrible with dates, like dates and name, that's my weakness. What is 19th of July?
When did you get married?
Oh my God, yeah. See? This is now going to get me in trouble because I'm sure my husband would know. Yes, that's the day we got married. Yes. Do you know why? Okay, now I'm going to try to recover myself from the situation, to make sure I don't get a hard time at home. I got married after 12 years of being actually with my fiancé or partner. We got married because of UAE. So for me, this is going to sound very cliche and cheesy. So we actually celebrate our big anniversary always on the 17th of August, because that's when we started dating.
Okay.
So we are together actually for 22 years. We've been married now for 10 years, 10 years, but we kind of remember the wedding anniversary. But for us, like 17th August, that's the big one, because that's been something we've been celebrating now for 22 years together.
Yeah. So that date is correct.
That date is correct, yes. Oh, yes. I was like, what happened on that date?
Okay, my channel, I want to position it to be like a resource of the right information. If people that wants to seek for career in UAE or maybe somewhere else. So how can I position my channel to be the right source of information?
So I think that, if it comes to recruitment and starting a career, and maybe starting a career with Marriott, if I would say, because as I said, I've been with the company for 17 years. I know sometimes it's not easy to get into Marriott. I know that we have got like our set procedures when we say you need to go and apply online through Marriott career website. And sometimes the feedback we hear, it's like, but I'm trying and I'm getting rejected. And, sometimes it's a bit difficult, when you are abroad and trying to reach us.
Yes.
It's just not to give up. Like, do you have a friend who works for Marriott? I think referrals works really, really well. I cannot promise it to everybody, but it always helps to have a reference of somebody who maybe already works with the company, who can also guide you how to apply for these jobs and also reference you potentially. That always, is a great start. And then I say to people, once you make it into Marriott, and when you realize that you are a hotelier and you want to make it your career, just hang on to it. Because like now, what we see with a lot of our new joiners, they have very itchy feet.
Yeah.
They come and they suddenly feel that, okay, in 1 year, I'm not getting the promotion. I don't like Marriott anymore. Let me go and work somewhere else. Or, here in Dubai, we have so many independent venues and people just jump from one place to another. And yes, it might be a great short-term solution because you might get more money. And sometimes you might get maybe the position that you didn't get with us right away. But then I always see that suddenly these people trying to come back to Marriott, which is sometimes harder. And quite often they come back on the position that they could have had if they just waited for a couple of months longer. And I always say to people, like, sometimes, yes, we are like a well-oiled machines. Sometimes things takes a little bit longer. But if you shine, we know that you are a diamond. Yeah. And we want to make sure we look after you. Okay. And not for the people just to think that, the grass is always greener on this other side, And look, I haven't been a director in my first few years. It took me a longer time, but once you get there, it's a great feeling of self-satisfaction. You made it, you work hard, and I love the company. As I said, they helped me to, move from being the small town girl in Czech Republic, to sit here and, manage one of the biggest clusters that we have got in the region.
Yes,
and that wouldn't happen if I would be jumping from one place to another. I think it definitely helped me because I stick to the company and I have built a network of people who knew me. and they helped me to grow and guide me through my career.
Yes. There is somebody I want to give a shout out to, because I think without that person, I would not be here interviewing the cluster director right now. Because when I applied for this job, there is a lady, she's no longer here, a HR, Logini.
Logini, yes, I remember
I will
Logini.
call her.
Yes.
She's always helping me, and when I joined, I came to look for her. They said she's left already. So I'm very, very thankful to Logini.
But you know what is Logina very good for? She's still in touch with me. So she said, like, if there will be a suitable place and all of that stuff. So she's maintaining her network, and that's very good. That's very good.
She's left like 3 years now. She's left.
Yes.
Without her, because when I will call, she will say, don't worry, just do this. She's always have time for me. So, Logini, thank you very much. Without you, I will not be sitting and interviewing the cluster director of Marriott International. I am very, very thankful. And guys, thank you for today's podcast. I am very, very grateful to Mrs. Petra. I am Chef de Pate, and I am interviewing the cluster director. You don't know how long that is, or the distance that I'm talking about now. I am grateful. What I'm trying to say, that I am grateful that she has given me her time. I am grateful, for giving us your time.
And I'm very grateful for you. Thank you so much for, you know, having this time for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. All right,
you.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.